that, but that must be constructed before any of the illegal immigrants get any kind of status
Senator,
under the legislation.
As you and I have discussed, I like you a lot. But I got to be honest with you. You're asking people to disregard 21 years of history, to disregard an administration that for 6 years, despite September 11, has not imposed border security or port security, and because somebody wants to put up $4.4 billion on fees. Let's talk about that $4.4 billion, Senator. Let me finish.
You asked the question.
I haven't answered the question. That was a preamble, as you know, Senator. I'll give you plenty of opportunity to respond.
To follow. Go ahead.
According to what we're looking at here, that $4.4 billion would come from fees and fines, right?
Correct.
And what would change in the language is, under the appropriations, there would be those appropriate sums. You would have then 5 years after enactment to use money, correct? Instead of 2. That would extend by 3 years the time in which to secure the border.
No.
No? Well, I just want you to clear it up for me, because I get confused when you fellas get to work.
Please. Well, I understand that, but give me a chance to explain here. The triggers, in other words, before an illegal immigrant can get any kind of status under this, many things have to have happened. We believe that all of those things, hiring of 20,000 Border Patrol agents, building at least 370 miles of fencing, 300 miles of vehicle barriers, 26,000 detention spaces, and on and on and on. All of those things can be accomplished, and in fact will be accomplished by the end of 2008. There is enough money in the budget for this year and the President's budget to be submitted next year to accomplish all of those things. In addition, we want to make sure that the employee verification system that will make it much different than the 1986 bill is actually in place, ready to go, and will be operable thereafter. That's part of what this $4.4 billion will ensure.
Let me be sure that we all of us folks understand what you're saying. So in other words, you're saying that the Z visa will not be granted to any of the illegal aliens in this country, that not a single step will be taken to provide legal status until the border is secured.
Well, until it is secured.
Am I confused?
Until it is secured to the extent that the trigger items have in fact been accomplished. I am not going to suggest to you that the border is 100% secure at that point.
What percent secure do you think it would be, Senator?
Well, it's hard to say. Part of it depends upon the implementation of other features of the legislation. As you know, the employee verification system is a key part of this. That will make it impossible for people to work in the United States legally unless they're authorized. And we think the combination of that, as well as the work on the border and the interior enforcement all working together, will get it to the point where the border is essentially secure.
Well, Senator, as you well know, we've got a credibility problem here, and a big one. The second part is Trent Lott is saying that the government is being run by talk radio, I think is what he said, and they've got to do something about that. And he also said all of those amendments, the things where people really, the men and women of good faith want to bolster security, or they want to put forward something that will make immigration reform more palatable to their interests, whatever that may be. Said basically go and pitch all of those before they get to the rotunda for conference. So with that kind of spirit at work in the Senate, why in the world should the American people tolerate another day of this nonsense?
Okay, well, you've got me on now. If you want to complain to Trent, then get him on.
No, I'm complaining to you about your this is your whip. This is your whip for your party, speaking for you and for your party in the United States Senate.
And Lou, you asked me a specific question. Let me answer it.
Sure.
It is the question that has to be answered. You're absolutely right about it. Why would you think that a new law is going to be enforced when the existing law is not being enforced? And there are two specific answers. First of all, I agree with you that the existing law is not being enforced, and would respond, therefore, do you want to continue the status quo? The reason it's not being enforced is because, by and large, it can't be enforced. The employee verification system we have today is a joke. We have to change the law so that employers are required to verify the eligibility of their employers. And secondly, looking at the lessons from the past, we've tried to revise the approach so that we built in the things that have to be enforced. We make sure we have the people to do it, and that the money is committed to doing it. Those are all things that we're missing after 1986.
And if I may say, Senator, the United States government with this administration and the previous.